Upfront at 4.
Did you see it? It was amazing. The coast-to-coast total eclipse is now history. You saw it right here live on 3 News Now and online at 3newsnow.com and Facebook. Thousands came out to see the solar system's magnificent show across the country and here in Nebraska. We have crews across the state capturing the sights and thoughts of sightseers. People, jumped up and down as they watched this rare eclipse. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us on Upfront 4. I'm Gregory. The total solar eclipse was spectacular.
It really was. I'm Lindsay Thies. Crowds filled Beatrice. It was one of the prime viewing areas really here in Nebraska. That's where we start our live coverage today with Jennifer Griswold and Jennifer Zeppelin. Hey guys.
Hey, and all those adjectives were spot on. Magnificent. It was amazing. It was incredible.
Awesome.
It was fantastic. Awesome, right? It really was. All eyes were to the skies. We all got to see that glimpse. We were worried because there were clouds.
We were, but the clouds cooperated for that window, that opportunity when it was at its total coverage. It was amazing.
It really was. We're at the Homestead National Monument in Beatrice. You can see where there were people. There's still a few left. Actually, there are very long lines to the buses, and I understand that they are having some traffic issues in Beatrice as they are shuttling people back and forth. So a lot of people are standing in the parking lot right now as they are trying to get in line to one of these free shuttles in order to get back to their car. But again, no one seems to be complaining. They're just riding it out and just enjoying it. So tons of people here, thousands of people were here to view the total solar eclipse, as well as Bill Nye, the science guy, and scientists from NASA.
You know, it really was just an amazing event to watch this whole thing unfold, really without a hitch today. I mean, everything went like clockwork. We knew what was going to happen, but everybody just seemed to have a wonderful time, even though we had overcast skies for a large period of the time. Right when we were looking at the peak viewing of the solar eclipse, I mean, it was magnificent, and the clouds actually provided quite an interesting perspective on it when it occurred.
Yeah, they kind of broke up every once in a while, and every time you just hear these screams and oohs and ahs. I got chills at points. It really was that fantastic. Megan Hahn was actually out talking to people here in Beatrice.
A jaw-dropping moment of awe. That's how many here at the Homestead National Monument describe the moment of totality as thousands simultaneously looked to the sky at 1 p.m. The sky took on a dark, eerie tinge that would have you convinced it was dawn and not the middle of the afternoon. Cloud cover was blocking the sun for much of the morning with some showers, but during the final countdown to totality, the clouds parted and the crowds cheered.
All this anticipation as it moved back and forth, so it was great. And then finally to see it in totality, it was wonderful.
It worked out well, didn't it?
It did, it did.
Beyond the 2 minutes or so of totality here at the park, there was music, engagement activities, and science demonstrations with NASA. And of course, we got to hear from Bill Nye, the science guy. Coming up at 6, we'll hear from some of the people who traveled from all across the country to experience the eclipse right here at the Homestead National Monument of America. I'm Megan Hahn, 3 News Now.
And you saw in that piece, Bill Nye, the science guy, was on stage answering questions, kind of giving the play-by-play, the countdown as it all unfolded. After that presentation, after that happened, I ran and caught up with him and asked him why he chose Nebraska to view the total solar eclipse.
This is in the middle of the path of the eclipse of 2017. It was the place to be. We were high, it's flat, could see a long way. I didn't think of this, other people may have talked about this, but we were up on this hill, so you could see the edges of the path in the clouds. I mean, it's over the horizon, but you could see the edge of the swath of the eclipse. And where we were was total, or close as I could tell. And we all watched with our glasses, and the clouds went away for that moment, and it was just amazing. It was fantastic.
And in many ways, Bill Nye is a science TV teacher. He said one of the most incredible things about being here is seeing all the children getting so excited about science, so excited about this event. Many people across Nebraska, the teachers, use this as an opportunity to teach their children.
And one location was in Bellevue at Fontenelle Middle School as they looked skyward at the spectacular view. Miranda Christian has the latest from there.
I was at Logan Fontenelle Middle School all day today for an Eclipse party. And so what they did was kind of made a day out of this. Right now I'm actually drawing my own corona and everything. And they got to experience this at an education level. There was about 250 7th and 8th graders who all were out on the football field this afternoon viewing the eclipse happen. It was really fun to see everybody react in different ways. We felt the temperature drop, we saw it get darker, and we really just had a fun time with it.
It was like,
yeah, it was, oh gosh, it's getting brighter.
Sun, but it was just like,
yeah, it was like, there was like it looked like it was like a centimeter knot, like, but my
not covered.
Yeah, it was cool.
Obviously the moon is smaller than the sun, but it still looked the same size.
So Bellevue Public Schools were actually one of the 2 designated NASA sites in Nebraska. Coming up at 5 o'clock, I'll have more on how they became a designated NASA site. Reporting in Bellevue, I'm Miranda Christian, 3 News Now.
Forecast.
And of course was the weather.
Weather certainly had everything to do with whether or not you were going to be able to see the eclipse. And we experienced all kinds of weather conditions while the event was unfolding. It started sprinkling at one point. We had overcast skies. Temperatures dropped dramatically during the event at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And right now, all eyes are on the storms that are building back to the north of us between Takema, Ottawa, Mapleton, so in Iowa, off to the north of Omaha. These storms are tracking to the southeast. They've had a history of producing some small hail. There is a watch in effect from around the Takema area off northward. And again, you can see the direction on these storms tracking to the southeast. Strong gusty winds. Eventually, these storms will be moving into the Omaha metro, probably looking at a timing between about 7 to 8 o'clock tonight, kind of knocking on the northern fringes of Douglas County and eventually into Sarpy County. So if you do have any outdoor activities planned for tonight, I know a lot of sporting activities going on, practices taking place between football and soccer and other events like that. So we'll continue to keep you updated on the situation.
And I know here people saw some rain, but they were glad it wasn't raining during that totality experience.
I know, you were sort of on pins and needles, and you were kind of like, Jennifer, I don't know. And I'm like, no, it's going to happen. And we were able to see it. It was incredible.
And it really was.
We
was
all
amazing.
did.
We'll send it back to you guys. We might go do a little jig if you can hear the music playing.
Yeah, I think the band is solar powered. All right, a dancing good time in Beatrice for sure.
Definitely.
As thousands hit the roadways along the path of totality, heavy traffic became an issue early this morning and again this afternoon.
You just heard him talking about the parking lots over in Beatrice. Senior reporter Jake Wazakowski gives us a look at how state officials are monitoring any of the problems. Jake.
Well, guys, departments across the state are coordinating, and they've been coordinating for up to a year in advance. Let me get out of the way. This is one of their briefings they've been having about every hour to every hour and a half. Now, more than 12 agencies, including Nebraska Emergency Management, NRD, Game and Parks, State Patrol, and the Red Cross, gathered at the command center in Lincoln. They monitored many different aspects of the event to make sure people stayed safe. Traffic congestion was a big concern, and they watched it with airplanes and the NSP helicopter. There were a couple of crashes this morning, but none during the eclipse.
We're going to have a lot of traffic. Hopefully, with the eclipse being over now, people will be able to take their time as they leave, and hopefully that'll alleviate some of the traffic congestion we had this morning. People won't be in a rush to get somewhere as they were trying to get to their spot for the eclipse.
The State Patrol and Department of Roads did have to tell some people not to stop on the shoulder of the interstates and highways during the eclipse for their own safety. As you can see, kind of wrapping up here, they're still monitoring the weather. A storm cell from the north is what they're watching that could hit eastern Nebraska, but they've called it more or less a non-event and saying that that was the best case scenario, that it was a weather event that was a non-event. Reporting live from Lincoln, Jake Wazakowski, 3 News Now.
Thanks, Jake. From the best pictures across the state and across the country, plus all of the action from every place that our crews have been stationed today, you can relive the eclipse again and again. For that, just log on to 3newsnow.com. And today's episode of The Bold and the Beautiful was preempted by our coverage of the total eclipse. If you want to watch it, it will re-air at 12:35 a.m. Today's episode of The Young and the Restless will air at its usual time tomorrow.
Drivers heading west for the eclipse ran into a big traffic jam on I-80 late this morning in Omaha. In fact, a crash near 84th Street just after 10 a.m. sent 5 people to the hospital. Here's a look at that right there. One person was in very bad shape, 2 others in critical condition, and we've just learned that students from Creighton University are among the injured. Father Dan Hendrickson says a prayer service will be held at 7 tonight at St. John's Catholic Church on campus. A 16-year-old boy died in a car crash on Sunday night in Saunders County. Deputies say 16-year-old Connor Butner lost control and rolled the car several times on a county road about 3 miles northwest of Ashland. His passenger, Nolan Beckenhauer of Ceresco, died. Butner is in stable condition at Nebraska Medicine.
Council Bluffs police are investigating a deadly motorcycle crash. Police say 50-year-old Jacqueline Bouton lost control of her motorcycle near 8th Street at Burr Oak Road around 4:30 Saturday afternoon. She died at the scene. Investigators aren't saying if speed or alcohol factored into the crash. Lincoln police arrested 4 Omaha residents after a bar fight after the Crawford Indago fight on Saturday night. Police arrested Devin Gaines, Terrace Tranham, Canny Wright, and Brianna McGaw on various charges for their roles in the fight at Heidelberg's just before 2 on Sunday morning. Someone punched one officer in the face during the altercation. Police had to use pepper spray to disperse the crowd.
High water levels are keeping access points to the Elkhorn River closed. The Papio, Missouri NRD says all access points and recreation areas in Douglas County remain shut down today. The campground is open. Also, the Platte River landing access point to the river is now open. Drivers in Iowa have chosen a design for the state's new license plate. The design, called City and County Reboot, received more than 113,000 votes. The design's top border contains city and country images, and the bottom green border is intended to evoke, however you term it, growth, nature, and wellness. The state will begin issuing the new plates next year.
Well, he was a comedy, Greg. He took serious topics and used humor to tackle them.
I'll look back at the career and legacy of Dick Gregory next. Comedian and civil rights activist Dick Gregory died over the weekend.
His family says he passed away in Washington, D.C. on Saturday night. Gregory gained notoriety in the early 1960s as one of the first African-American comics to perform for white audiences. Roxana Saberi looks back at his career.
He began breaking barriers by appealing to white crowds with witty remarks about racism in America.
But there are a lot of good advantages riding in the back of a bus. Next time you get on the bus, you knows where that emergency door is located.
A native of St. Louis, Missouri, Gregory's first big break as a comedian came in 1961 when he filled in at Hugh Hefner's Playboy Club in Chicago. Gregory went on to become a national sensation. The Tonight Show with Jack Paar had him on as a guest. But as Gregory told CBS Sunday Morning this June, that was only after he demanded to be invited to sit for a chat.
White comics could sit on the couch. A black comic couldn't.
Are you a good audience tonight? And treat me nice, because with President Kennedy's new housing bill, I might be your neighbor now.
Gregory soon moved his activism from the stage to the streets to rally for civil rights and against the Vietnam War and police brutality. He was still using satire for social justice when he fell ill earlier this month. On Facebook this weekend, his family announced his death, caused by an aneurysm set in motion by what one of his sons described as years of severe fasting for social change. Gregory was 84. Roxana Saberi for CBS News, New York.
A car that James Bond would envy, plus the song that is back on everybody's playlist, thanks to the Eclipse.
And the historic ship discovery, the videos, the pictures you just have to see. Your must-see on 3 is next.
A 1980s hit makes a big comeback thanks to the solar eclipse. And researchers find the wreckage of an American warship sunk by the Japanese in World War II. Lindsay Thies is here with the must-see on 3 videos of the day. Lindsay.
Well, Craig, first question. Are you a big James Bond fan?
You know what? I do like his adventurous side.
Oh, definitely. Well, you definitely...
The ritzy ride behind you is
pretty
cool.
My gosh, dream on, right? So this is a classic car. It made history on the auction block over this weekend. James Bond's fans are going to love this. So this is the Aston Martin DBR. It's sold, it's one of 5, and it sold at auction for $22.5 million last Friday. Whew, that is the most money that a British-made car has ever fetched on the auction block. Aston Martin's only built 5 of these cars. It's the first time one's gone up for sale to the public. The model competed in more than a dozen races in the late 1950s. Of course, James Bond drove a similar DB5 in several of those films. The sale was made at a classic car auction in Monterey, California. It is not known who called the winning bid. If you ever announce it, though, give me a call. I'd love to go for a ride. This is really fascinating. A team of researchers found the wreckage of a Navy ship that sank more than 70 years ago. The civilian-led team by Microsoft co-founder Paul Allen found the USS Indianapolis 18,000 feet below the surface in the North Pacific. The Navy cruiser sank when it was hit by a Japanese torpedo in 1945. Most of the ship's almost 2,000 sailors survived the attack, but only 316 survived the several days they were stranded on the ocean. The ship had just completed a secret mission delivering components of the atomic bomb that would be used in Hiroshima. And last but not least, who has been singing this song today?
Lonely and you're never coming round. Every now and then.
I love the turnaround from you over there, Craig. So yeah, so you might recognize Total Eclipse of the Heart. Fun fact, Bonnie Tyler's classic hit. We got Jennifer Zeppelin, Miranda Christian. We saw Ben Stevens over there too. According to Nielsen Music, the sales of this song has soared by more than 503% for digital downloads.
Oh my gosh. Timing is everything, they say, right?
Exactly. And you talk about timing, that's pretty epic timing with you coming around and turning it around in that video.
The magic of TV and some Friday fun in advance of the total solar eclipse.
It was great. It was great. Love sharing that fun with our folks too.
We're back after this. All right, some breaking news into 3 News Now. A traffic backup following the solar eclipse this afternoon. There has been an accident along Highway 67 and 136 near Brownville. That's south of Peru.
3 News Now reporter Megan Stewart's in that area. Megan joins us from the phone. Hi, Megan. What can you tell us?
Hey, Craig and Lindsay. The traffic has definitely slowed down dramatically in this area while crews work to respond to that crash. We saw it just at about 4:10 this afternoon. And that is at least one crash that is causing massive slowdowns in the area. We are coming from Falls City, heading back to Omaha. Definitely a lot of other drivers along there with us. We saw just before that crash at 136 and Highway 67, about 20 minutes earlier, heading north on 67, we saw another car with damage pulled off into the ditch. So definitely a lot of drivers on the road, a lot of things to be careful of at the crash that we saw on 136 and Highway 67. We saw multiple first responders. We saw ambulance, fire department, sheriff's office. Not a ton of service in that area, and with all the traffic moving, so definitely hard to get through. So be aware if you are near in that traffic. Just be sure to pay attention, to pull over when you need to. Like I said, it's very slow moving as it is, so not a good time to pick up your phone. Still need to pay attention to what's going on, but we'll bring you more details as we get them over here out in the field near Brownsdale. Craig and Lindsay, I'll send it back to you guys.
All right, Megan Stewart for us this afternoon as eclipse watchers try to get home, and it is very, very congested out there. It was the event nobody wanted to miss.
Up next, we will go back to Beatrice, where thousands gathered to watch the total solar eclipse.